Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. episode 16, End of the Beginning. Now, this episode is definitely my favorite episode so far. I'd have to say, because of the ending itself, it just, or I can't really say it's the best episode so far, but it's definitely the best ending so far because it leads up to something that will hopefully be an amazing episode next week. And just the sense of betrayal that Coulson feels not knowing who he can trust within his team, especially his top two members, Ward and May. He has this internal struggle trying to figure out who is it that's turning against us and who works with the clairvoyant, who we find out in this episode, or at least it's theorized by Sky and Coulson that the person who is claiming to be the clairvoyant isn't a clairvoyant and they don't have powers. They're an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they have clearance. So it's really interesting and it adds a whole new element to the series as to who this person is, why are they trying to destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. from within, just what functionality do they have within the world, because clearly they have power. If they created Centipede, they have all these abilities. They made Deathlock, they gave him the leg, they gave him the arm piece, they have eye bombs and text that appears within the eyes. They have this technology and this money and they have all these you know bits of information and all this clearance. Who is this person within S.H.I.E.L.D. that's trying to destroy it and why? So it leads us to an amazing ending where Coulson initially he thinks Ward is the person who is working with the clairvoyant because he shot the person that they initially thought was the clairvoyant, which of course was due to his overreacting to some of the things the person in the chair was saying because of how he felt about Sky and how he has an emotional attachment to her, and how the clairvoyant who was in the chair at least was speaking about how she was dying and how she's going to die, giving them what they want, which we can only assume at this point is her DNA, because if I remember correctly, the clairvoyant also mentioned how he still wants Coulson because his DNA, just like Sky's now, is very special because they were on the brink of death and they were dead in Coulson's case at least, and this alien DNA just brought him right back to life, and who knows what sort of scenario or side effects might come out of it. For as far as Coulson goes, he hasn't had much. He's only really had the little bits and pieces here and there, like in really early on, where he mentioned how he wasn't able to do certain things, like with his gun, where he could change a clip really easily, or take a gun apart or something like that. And those little intricate details weren't exactly carried over when he healed, and they just didn't carry over 100%. But we have no idea what little side effects Sky is going to have, or what huge side effects she might have, because she wasn't nearly as gone as Coulson was. He was dead, and as you saw, they took his head off in the episode and were working on his brain and nitpicking at it, as where with Sky she was shot and she was dying, but it wasn't nearly as drastic. So we have to wait and see. But either way, those two characters now are very linked together because of what's going on in their system, which Fitz and Simmons are really trying to figure out, and they're working their little side scheme. And of course, May has her own thing where she's reporting that Coulson knows about the alien, so, or at least knows something a little bit beyond what they want him to know. So maybe she doesn't even know it's really an alien. It's just this genetic material we don't want everyone to know about because it's just that classified. I don't know exactly what it is, but I follow orders, so I'm letting whoever is above me know. Coulson now knows our little secret, but it led to an amazing ending with Fitz and Simmons trying to sneak and communicate and figure out this gene, or this, well, I guess gene, or whatever this little thing is that saves Sky. Trying to figure out what it is, whether it's repercussions, whether it's benefits, and all that, and then that leads them to finding, or at least Fitz or Simmons. I still always confuse them. I think Fitz is the boy, and it leads him to finding that um, the little extra line that shouldn't actually exist that May owns, and then that leads Coulson to go from Ward being the one working with the clairvoyant to May, and then all of this is going down. He's pointing the gun at May. She's trying to take out Fitz, which I thought was a little over the top. And who knows, maybe she thought something extra was going on, but she was trying to knock him out for finding out that she had the secure line. But he's pointing the gun at her. Initially, I thought when the plane started to move, since Ward wasn't there, I thought maybe it went back to Ward and he is the person working with the clairvoyant. But we find out at the end of this episode that it's the woman Victoria who is actually taking control of the ship, and she wants everyone killed. Maybe it's because she's working with the clairvoyant. Maybe it's because she just doesn't like how their team operates. Because in this episode, that was a huge deal where she didn't trust Sky, of course, who in this episode does become a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. That is one of the happier moments. I think everything else is pretty much just intense and or just flat out bad, like when they were fighting Deathlock and got destroyed. But that was a really good moment. And then throughout this episode, she doubted Sky. She doubted the team as a whole. She hated the fact that they didn't do what she wanted because she felt that her idea for the mission would be way better. You know, send everyone this way rather than two people at a time not knowing all the information. But she took control of the ship. We will have to wait and see next week if she is working with the clairvoyant. I don't think so personally. I think she probably has an inkling that one of them on the team is working for the clairvoyant, or maybe that's just what she thinks. And who knows? She could be working with the clairvoyant. I mean, this person is within S.H.I.E.L.D. She could easily be under them as well, and, or who knows? There could be a ton of people under them, and they're all waiting for the word to uprise, pretty much. But I'm definitely excited to see how things play out. And they mentioned a tiny bit that Nick Fury is back in town. Coulson will be able to meet with him probably within a couple of weeks. It most likely won't happen within this next episode, but Fury has basically given him permission to, and he said, hey, you can come meet me at this time and at this place. So Coulson will be able to talk to Fury. We'll probably get him in by the season finale or something like that, and they'll give us like one more little hint as to why they hid certain things or what extra secret S.H.I.E.L.D. is holding that we don't know about, and we'll learn them as Coulson learns them, and then, you know, now wait like 3 months until season 2. But definitely love the ending to this episode. It was good to see Deathlock actually in action. That was cool. Actually in action. It was good to see him in action. It'll be exciting to see what other elements they add to him as a character, because we didn't really see him fight too much before this episode, and then it was just like, here you go, just put a little rocket on your arm. But he takes bullets. He's like the Terminator, honestly. And we also got that little glimpse where he is just more machine than man at this point. I thought it was, of course, his leg and maybe some extra stuff, because when he gets shot in the head, it ricochets off and you see silver. So that made me think, okay, well, he had a little bit more damage because he was in an explosion. He lost his leg. There could have been other things they had to fix, so it makes sense. But when we get that scene, he reminded me of Cyborg from Teen Titans, actually. And half his face was pretty much metal, and you saw the red eye, and there was a lot of extra. Most of it was covered up because of the metal. I at least think that she was actually seeing his metal armor and not metal within his body. But you could see his neck and tendon and stuff didn't look like muscle. They looked like pretty much like big tubes. So it'll be interesting if they go into detail with that as to how he's more machine than man now, and how much they really had to do to actually save his life, and what other enhancements they might have actually added to him aside from, you know, the super strength, which is, of course, was introduced in the very first episode. But it was a good episode. We got a lot of good elements. Like I said, we got to see Deathlock in action, taking 20 bullets. He beat up one guy, choked him out. He has his little upgrade now, even though we didn't really get to see him fight too much without it. But I don't mind that, of course, because he shot a bunch of rockets at people, so that's nice and exciting. Bunch of explosions everywhere. Good little elements saying that the clairvoyant was found, and then we actually find out that the clairvoyant is still out there, and that they aren't a super person. They just have a lot of clearance, and that they're an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then the ending itself, it leaves you with an open question as to who is working with the clairvoyant. And of course, I don't think it's anyone on the team. It just wouldn't make any sense that they would do that. It would be an amazing twist, but at the same time, it's television, and you can kind of guess this is one of those scenarios where one of the main characters isn't going to end up being one of the bad guys, and then they just get arrested and you're off the show forever. So we'll have to wait and see, but I'm definitely excited for next week because the trailer or the preview definitely made it seem interesting where everyone was fairly split up because they're all being shot at. No one really knows who to trust, especially not Coulson and Sky because they've really been talking. So they have their ideas, and then the woman Victoria wants them all dead for some apparent reason. So excited to see that. But as far as this episode goes, definitely good. Definitely a great lead in to next week's episode, and it has me more excited than any other episode has. Aside from I guess last week's or the last episode, which was of course just good because we were gonna have Asgardians beating people up, which we did, and that was fun. But main team, main storyline, I'm really excited that it's picking up towards the season finale. But comment below, let me know what you guys thought of this episode, favorite parts, least favorite parts, and how do you guys think things are gonna go? Who do you think the clairvoyant might be? If you read the comics and you have a guess as to what character they could bring in as the clairvoyant, even if they aren't technically the clairvoyant in the comic books, definitely put that below. As you know, put why you think they could be the person. Try not to spoil too much if you can, but definitely comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.